Did you know if you're a farmer, you can get your low tunnels paid for by the NRCS? Through a recently launched government program, farmers can get between $4 and $5 per square foot in reimbursement towards a Quick Hoops low tunnel system. That's free money to help increase production on your farm. Learn more about Quick Hoops and the NRCS program at shop.moderngrower.co or using the link below. With your experience running this business, is farming a viable business? And do you potentially have the opportunity to make it what you want? So you could have it be this 20-hour kind of side hustle, $1,500 a week thing, or you could make it a $5,000 a week thing if you scaled enough and did that. What are your thoughts on farming as a business?
Yeah, I think it's definitely possible. Like I'm looking at what I have now, like I definitely don't feel like I need more land or more infrastructure to do more, like maybe a little more time and probably hiring people a little for a few more hours a week. But I feel like there's a lot of room for it to grow, even with just what we put in terms of space and infrastructure now. Sometimes it does feel like a really like narrow path to profitable farming. You just can hardly screw up at all. I feel like it's really easy for it to be, I don't know, just really tenuous, I guess. Sometimes it seems like sometimes it feels like you have to do it almost perfectly and be good at so many different things to make it work. And that can get discouraging sometimes. But on the other hand, I look at what I'm doing now and I feel pretty decent about its growth and about the money it's bringing in and about the prospects for what it can do in the future. And I look at all the things that I mess up all the time and like all the things that are so inefficient. And it's, if I can fix half of those, it's going to be so much better. And so sometimes seeing all the flaws in what I'm doing now and like how much room for improvement I have, if I just irrigated a little better, like this would have been like great. And so I think dialing that stuff in and really seeing how productive like this little space can be gives me a lot of hope for down the road. And yeah, I think it can be really hard, but it's not impossible.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I like the idea of not feeling the need to grow to make more money. I think sometimes people think that I just have to grow more stuff, add more land, and that's not always the case. You could minimize crop losses. You can be more efficient and get more per bed. You can make sure you sell everything that you sell. You can get a higher price point, increase your margins. There's a lot of things you can do to make more money without getting more land. If you look at the space you're working with, where do you think you're at in terms of potential, both for you and the farm? Are you 50% of where you think you could get to? Have you squeezed 80% of the potential out of it? Where are you on that curve?
Yeah, 50 is the number that I think about a lot, actually. Yeah. And because I guess in conversations with my husband about school and kids and how much time I have to put into this, is the questions always, if you had double the time, would it be producing double the money? And it really feels that way a lot of the time. And I think next year is going to be the proof of concept with that one. If I can really, and I don't know if it'll be quite double production, but definitely trying to do an increase and maybe adding a market. Yeah, we'll see. But I want to say, yeah, maybe 50 or 60% there. There's a lot of room. There's a little bit of space that definitely isn't as productive as it could be now. And beds could definitely get cropped more than once a season. Some of them do, but not all of them, kind of thing. So I feel like there's a lot of room for improvement still. But you were saying earlier about profitability and not necessarily needing more space. And before starting this project, I'd worked for 3 separate farmers who were farming on that I don't know, 8 to 10 acre scale mixed vegetables. And by the time I started doing this, I think all of them were just extremely discouraged. And two of them had left farming because it was just really difficult to turn a profit. And I do think that there may be a no man's land in terms of acreage. And this isn't necessarily the case for everyone, but I do sometimes think that being either like quite small or like really scaled up may be a more viable path. Sometimes I think that middle scale where you have a lot of expenses and you have a payment on a tractor and you have a huge crew, but don't necessarily have the scale to have like huge revenue can be tricky, I think. So I don't know. And I guess I would say, like, can farming be profitable? I don't know that it's like a one size fits all thing. Like there may be like certain paths in like vegetable farming and flower farming and different scales that are different, I think, in terms of how challenging it can be to be profitable.
I think you're 100% right on that no man's land concept. If you think about somebody farming 10 acres, is their price point that they're getting for their produce really much different than a person farming 50? Probably not. Are their costs per unit cheaper than the person farming 50 acres? Probably not. So you're like selling at the same price, like you said, with more costs. I don't think there's any room for error in that size. Where you scale down, you're usually more direct to consumer. You probably get a higher price point. Your costs you can dial in. Your probably production per unit of land is higher. So you maybe even have the same cost, but you're getting more units of production. You're getting a higher cost. So I think you're right there. If you enjoy farm podcasts, then tune into Carrot Cash Flow for all things farm business. Join us as we explore the latest trends, tips, and stories from market farmers running businesses just like yours. Whether you're a seasoned farmer or just starting out, our podcast has something for everyone. Listen in and grow with us. Available on all major podcast platforms. Don't miss out. Subscribe to Carrot Cash Flow today.